Hi, everyone. Thank you so much to the Conservancy for having me tonight. My name is Olivia White. I'm an architectural historian and a historic preservation consultant. I'm a former Chattel Associate, and I prepared the nomination for the landmark Compass Rose at the Santa Monica Airport, which was designated in 2019. It is in the airport site. It's located adjacent to runway 3, and it is a painting of a Compass Rose. The Compass Rose is the symbol of the 99's International Association of Women Pilots. To tell you a little bit about where the Compass Rose came from, why it's there, I need to tell you a little bit about the 99's. The 99's are an organization whose history really starts at Santa Monica Airport, starting on August 18th, 1929, when the first women's air derby or air race took off from Santa Monica Airport. It was the first sanctioned air race for women. Men had been participating in air races since 1920. There were a lot of famous names in this air race, including Amelia Earhart, Louise Thaden, Bobby Trott. 20 pilots took off from Santa Monica Airport that day. The race was from Santa Monica to Cleveland with stops in between. And this is a view of the airport and the crowd of spectators before the race. There were about 30,000 people who showed up at Santa Monica Airport to watch these women take off. There's the route of the race. There were stops in between, of course. It was 2,800 miles over the course of 8 days. They encountered really brutal terrain, extreme heat. They were flying in open cockpits. And they had really very little ground support for doing repairs to their airplanes throughout the race. If there's time later, I can show a brief clip from the race, but I'll keep going and we can come back for folks to see that. At the time of the Derby, women pilots faced significant discrimination and they were very much discouraged from flying. Will Rogers was quoted at the time of the air race as saying, "It looks like the powder puff derby to me." Women pilots were called really, derogatory names. Before the race, the Aeronautical Association attempted to require each woman to fly with a male accompaniment, thinking that women, couldn't do this race on their own, basically. But the Derby was really important, not just for women in aviation, but it was important to show the public that flying was a safe and legitimate form of transportation. So the Derby was really the impetus to start the All Women's Pilot Organization. Amelia Earhart had this idea before the race, but this really spurred everyone to get together and start an organization. She put a call out to all the licensed women pilot around the world. There were about 117. 26 of them gathered in Curtis Field in Long Island, New York. And in picking a name, they decided to go with the number of charter members of the organization. So at the time, there were 99. Before the Derby, most women pilots in the US didn't really know each other. So this organization really helped them, form bonds, friendship, network for jobs, things like that. So the Compass Rose logo came shortly after the organization was founded. It was designed actually by a Los Angeles chapter member, Wilma Fritschke, in 1939. This is when it first appears in their newsletter. So it has the two interlocking nines in the center, and it's the registered trademark of the organization. It remains so today. So the Compass Rose is more than just a logo, though. It also serves as an air marker and a compass calibration. So an air marker is an early navigational tool that pilots used to use. Before there was advanced GPS and navigational technology, it was easy for early aviators to get lost. They had to follow train tracks or roads to sort of orient themselves. So air markers came about as a way to help aid navigation. So things like these paintings on top of roofs would tell you, how many miles to the next airport or what direction to get to a certain place. And the Compass Rose was one of those air markers because if you saw it, you knew you're at the airport, basically, or at a landing strip. A Compass Rose is also an approved form of airplane compass calibration. There's, again, more advanced methods today, but method to use the compass rose involves taxiing a plane onto the compass rose itself, pointing your plane to magnetic north, and basically taxiing the plane sort of around in a circle. I'm not a pilot, so I'm explaining that very poorly, but it's one of the approved methods to calibrate an airplane compass. So the compass rose, that is the landmark at Santa Monica Airport. Of course, we talked briefly about the history of the airport. It's one of the oldest airports in the country. There is evidence that there was some form of a compass rose at the Air Derby in 1929. We know this from Bobby Trott's memoirs, but it's not, the compass rose that we have today. It was in 1985 that the 99's first published guidance on how to paint a compass rose at an airport. And this is sort of the guidance that was used then, still used today. These are images of when the LA 99's first painted the compass rose at the Santa Monica Airport. Again, that's its current location, historic location. And this is it when it was fully completed. This was Father's Day weekend in June of 1985. And today, this is a more updated aerial of where the compass rose is today. You're no longer able to taxi a plane out onto the compass rose the way you did previously because of the runway shortening. But the compass rose was designated a Santa Monica landmark under Criterion 1 on September 9th, 2019. And it remains, a remarkable symbol of the history of aviation and women in aviation. And, we're just so proud it's part of the history there. So that's all I have for now.